So part 3, to display the hottest, and it's also to display the name that the reading has been taken from and the temperature. So let's bear that in mind. Let's call this part 3 hottest. Again, this should be in as a sub-procedure in yours. Mine's is currently all just one big procedure with no sub-procedures at all. So we want to get the hottest, so I will do max pause equals 0, and that should be enough, I think, to get this. Does it say about displaying the name and reading the temperature? So if we find the position of the highest, then that's all we need here. So for all temperatures in the list, for I in range length temperatures, and if the current temp is greater than temp at max pause. So if temperature at I, so that's the current one that the loop's looking at. Let me just check my spelling. Temperature is greater than temperature at max pause. That means the current one is warmer than the one that we think is the hottest. So we can now say max pause equals that position I. Put some code in there. Set max pause to I, which is the current position. And then once that loop ends, if we keep it neat, so print a blank line. So that's readability on the output. And move this down a little. We want to do send hottest information to display. So we want to print the hottest area is, and that's going to come from the site array. So site at max pause and not I, as some people probably just get into the habit of writing, with a temperature of temperature, again in max position. That was the whole purpose of that loop, to find the maximum. And is it to say hottest, the name of the area and its temperature. So close that over. Now, just as a test before we go, if we look at the temperature, which is the highest, it is 27, which was the last one, so it should say pagoda. Now what this wouldn't do if there was a tie for temperatures, it would be whichever one it encountered first, so we'll have a look at that in a second. So if we run the code and check the last part to see if it's working, temperatures, again I misspelled it, I put temperatures instead of temperature in the array name. So you can see the hottest area is pagoda with a temperature of 27. Now if I was to put the temperature up from index 2 here, which is the garden, you can see that the garden and pagoda are tied. So your expectation might be that pagoda and garden are both displayed, but because garden is the first place that has a temperature which is the highest, this line here is never executed again. So what you could do is find the max temperature and then use another loop to run through and display that information if there's ties. Now that can be one of your challenges to see if you can get this part working. And I'm just going to do part 4 here too. So we want to do pollutants. Design create code which will count and display how many areas have been found to have pollutants in the water. So let's see, part 4, pollutants. So that's a count of currencies. So I'm going to set the count equal to 0. And I want to, for all items in the list, for I in range, and this time we'll use the pollutants list. If current item equals true, I'll just say list item. So if pollutants at the current index equals true, then set count to count plus 1. We want to add 1 onto the count, so count equals count plus 1. And just so you can see where these loops end, so that's the end if, end loop. Again, no need to do that code, it's just for readability purposes. So print another blank line. And then we can just say print the total areas which were found to have pollutants as display the count variable. Should have an internal commentary and say send count to display. And if we look at the number of trues we have there, so we've got 3. The expectation is we'll have 3 output at the last, and I have an error there for I in range pollutants, too many brackets. Run that again. Invalid syntax, because when we're doing comparison we need 2 equals. It runs through and then we get list object cannot be interpreted as an integer for I in range pollutants, and that is because I've missed writing the length of that list. So it didn't have the right correct number of brackets, it just didn't have length there was what the problem was. So we're looking for 3, which is fine. Let's test that and change one of these other items back to false to test that it's now 2 for the count. Seems to be working perfectly fine. So your job is, rather than this running from start to finish, is to have sub-procedures in there so that the user is presented with the option of choosing to display all of the details, or displaying the average depth, or displaying the average temperature, the highest, and so on. So it should present me with a menu option to choose from.